My name is Bonnie Flynn. This is my week 11 assignment submittal. The date is March 16th, and the assignment as is the twig is bent. It is a proverbial saying, early 18th century, meaning that early influences have a permanent effect. There's a related comment of the mid 16th century. A man may bend a wand while it is green and make it straight, though it never be so crooked. But the current form comes originally from Alexander Pope's epistles to several persons in 1732, and it is "'Tis education forms the common mind, just as the twig is bent, the tree's inclined." What it means now is that we have a brief but important opportunity to shape twigs, our children. And research shows that children's values, self-confidence, and behavioral patterns are shaped very early in their lives. By the time they reach 9, the twig is fairly well shaped, and once they are in their early teens, we lose them usually to their peer groups. If we want our city and our region and ultimately our nation to be populated by tolerant, responsible, compassionate adults, the most important thing we can do is become role models to our children when they are still young, malleable twigs. What we say, how we say it, what we praise, what we blame, how we respect and tolerate differences are potent twig shaping tools. Um, the folk rock group Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young said it clearly in their 1970 hit "Teach Your Children." The relevant lyrics are "Teach your children well and feed them on your dreams." Children are not born with built-in hatred, bias, bigotry, or lack of tolerance and respect for other views or people. They first learn these traits from their parents, their family, and peers as children. In my week 5 assignment, I included um, about that on Easter Sunday there was a boy standing outside a Catholic church, and the parishioners were greeted by or with a rant by an obviously well coached 9-year-old boy who held a sign and told them they would go to hell for supporting a church that advocates same sex marriage. That little boy doesn't even know what that means. But the child's father, coach, and manipulator, he stood in the background videotaping the event while he was cheering and egging it on. So were some other adults. And in a display of warped parental narcissism, he posted it on YouTube for people to watch. Just like parents do, they tape their kids fighting and put it on YouTube. It's absolutely absurd. But one of the worshipers exiting the church is heard on the video saying, "Shame on you people." But the child shouldn't be ashamed because he doesn't even understand what he's doing. And that about summed it up. What it comes down to is that teaching our children well is too important to leave to someone else. Here is a 1954 poem. It's by Dorothy Law Nolte. It's really good and relates to this assignment. It's called "Children Learn What They Live." If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with hostility, he learns to fight. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with shame, he learns to feel guilty. If a child lives in tolerance, he learns to be patient. If a child lives with encouragement, he learns confidence. If a child lives with praise, he learns to appreciate. If a child lives with fairness, he learns justice. If a child lives with security, he learns to have faith. If a child lives with approval, he learns to like himself. If a child lives with acceptance and friendship, he learns to find love in the world. And in my week 7 assignment, I wrote about Charlize Theron and how she grew up with violence in her home, and her mother ended up killing her father to protect her and her brother and herself. The father had beaten the mom her whole life and used to hold her at gunpoint. So when the father threatened to kill um, The kids this time, the mom took action, and as he was heading to Charlize's bedroom with a gun, she killed him. After he was beating her and then went to go kill Charlize. So she says that she still has problems till this day trusting men, and she's had a lot of failed relationships. When she's doing a movie that calls for a lot of emotion, like crying, she just thinks back to her childhood. As far as I go, I grew up with an alcoholic father who would beat my mom. It was so bad my mom slept with a black iron skillet tied to her hand. I remember that. And after my mom left my father, he ended up having a relationship with my brother and not me. He said, I just don't know what to do with little girls. So that really hurt and made me feel abandoned. So that made me look for my father and other men that I chose to have a relationship with. Well, let me tell you, that was one fail after another. I'm afraid for my kids because when they were 3 and 7, um, their father killed himself, and they have had their issues to deal with. But I'm afraid they might have more problems when they're older because when they were being molded as twigs, they had to deal with their father's depression and mental problems and listening to me and their father fight all the time. They were angry kids who acted out and they needed a lot of attention. My older son quit school um, and had a lot of issues, but now as they're both teenagers, they're 15 and 19 now. They're prospering into well-behaved and responsible gentlemen. Hopefully, the trauma of their childhood won't affect them in their futures and their future relationships. I really learned a lot about this assignment and about myself and about how important it is when kids are small to make sure you do the right thing, because you don't realize just how much it will affect them until they're an older person. And that is my week 11 assignment, Bonnie Flynn. Thank you.